Hello there and welcome. I'm Zach Treby. Today, I'm just going to talk about the music. Okay, so a lot of my students come to me, and I have a lot of these, where they'll come to me and I'll ask them, what do you want to do? And they'll tell me something along the lines of, I want to learn how to play musically. Okay, so my job is to find out what that means. And usually, a lot of students and some educators actually don't really know what that means. So, for instance, one of the things I do, and I teach my students the same way, uh, whatever gig I'm preparing for, usually that dictates what I'm going to work on in my practice time. So, for example, if I'm doing some Latin, which I do during some of my gigs, I might want to know a little bit about the Casqua, which is the 3/2 Casqua. Okay, I might want to know a little bit about the clave, and then when I throw it together, this is what I get. So right there, I have a working order of things to, if anything, be able to play the music fairly okay. Of course, the more I know about the music, the better. But it's always good to figure out, okay, what do I want to do and how do I go about it? And usually that's my job as an educator. And whatever music you're doing, if you're playing in a church and you come tell me you want to learn gospel chops. Okay, well, why do you want to learn gospel chops? Because there's a lot of different gospel music out there. Okay, so that's another thing. Because if you go back and listen to the older gospel, it's mainly groove stuff. A good chunk of it, but for the most part, the chops came later. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's great to know all these licks. Nothing wrong with that, but can you use it in a context? All that stuff, all that move around the kit. Can you use it in a groove context in this song? And that's the thing that a lot of people don't think about. They usually just want to go for the chops. That's fine. But what's going to get you the paying gig is actually being able to play the music and play it well. Not just the chops, but the actual context of what you're playing in. So if you're playing in a church, okay, you got to find out what kind of gospel songs they're doing. Maybe they're straight up groove oriented. Maybe it's half and half grooved, half chops. So you got to balance the two. And it's always good to go to the music and find out what the music is, because that's what's going to dictate what you play. And granted, if you're a young drummer coming up, I understand the need and want to be flashy. That's great. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love doing a big roll around the kit. But if it's a cover song, let's say you're playing in a cover band, okay. For the most part, you're going to have to know a bunch of songs. And some cover bands have an eclectic, range of songs that they do. So that means you're going to have to learn a couple different things. And it might be a bunch of them. All right, a bunch of different grooves, a bunch of different, songs, maybe a couple different styles, like a wedding band, for example. That's not just your regular cover band, even though they are covers, which the majority of things are covers. But in a wedding band, you might have to know, if you're going to play Moon Dance, I mean, be able to hold some kind of a jazz lick. That's pretty important if you want to play correctly or decently. Okay, you don't have to be the greatest on the planet, but you want to be decent enough to to do the job. And I've never seen anyone get fired for playing mainly groove and playing it well. So, you know, this whole idea of what you want to do, okay, and how do you move towards that musically? And that's the key is musically, meaning you go to the music. You don't go to Joe Schmo, who's doing drum covers on YouTube. That's not it. Because you want to go to the music, all right? You want to go listen to a lot of music and find out what these drummers are doing. Because that's where you're going to gain that knowledge. Not information, knowledge. Because you can use knowledge. If you have information, that doesn't mean you're going to use it. But it becomes knowledge when you use it. That's how you break that down. So, what is the best way to gain musical knowledge? We have tons of history of music recorded. So that is the best way to learn something is to go listen to those styles wherever you want to learn. And one of the things I do with my students is I will pretty much take the drummers they admire, right, and love, and I will see how those drummers play, and I'll make exercises out of exactly what those drums are doing, whether on video or recording. So right there, they're getting vocabulary right from the sources that they love. And they already know those drummers because they love them and they listen to them and they're inspired by them. So it's about the music, all right? And that's any intelligent educator would tell you that. Unfortunately, there are teachers out there that don't really know what they're doing, and that's not our problem. Okay, we just need to find the people that really know what they're talking about in terms of how to play drums or any instrument that rather, right, for that matter, towards the music. And that's how you go about playing any instrument well, is go to the music. Stop watching all these drum videos ad nauseum because you're just bombarding your head with too much information and it's becoming paralysis by analysis. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because a lot of my students do just this. Usually I'll give them, let's say I give them 2 to 3 assignments. And let's say one of them is to listen to one song and be able to groove through that song. 9 times out of 10, I guarantee they'll come back the next week with a few other songs that they decide to learn. That's great, but there's a reason and a cycle I'm trying to instill into them. And right now, in this day and age, it's not uncommon for me to see students coming back every week with a different song. But then when I turn on the song that they're supposed to learn, it's a deer in headlights because they didn't give themselves enough repetition to be able to do that song correctly. Even after the explanations, the demonstrations, the imitations, and then of course in their practice time comes the repetition over and over, which for some reason a lot of students shy away from. Who knows what that could be? That could be a bunch of things. Maybe they're scared to succeed. Could be a lot of things, which is what I have to deal with a lot of times. But that's okay. It's it's okay to have concerns and stuff like that. But our jobs as educators, if you're an educator, find out what's holding that student back and try to handle that. And always go towards the music and encourage them to do their best. So, if you're one of those struggling on the drum set where you're like, I don't even know what to do anymore, well, just find out what you like and go endeavor to learn that. And I would say go to the music. And one of the best ways to learn the music is to play to those records. And take one record and start with one song and just recycle that. Repeat, 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 repeat. There are 8 laws of learning, which a lot of people don't know this. It's explanation, demonstration, imitation, repetition, 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 and repetition. So there's three laws, which repetition, the last five follow the first three. Okay, I think I said that right. Anyway, point is repetition is where it's at. Okay, if you have an intelligent educator behind you, you should be fine. If not, seek one out and ask them to help you with what you're trying to do. And it's okay to sit there and go, wow, I don't even know what to do. Even if you know what you like, an intelligent educator should be able to guide you towards that. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have problems. I've had lots of problems, even just being a constant student of this instrument. So it's good just to sit back sometimes and just think about, what do I want to do? And how do I get there? And it's okay not to know how you're going to get there, by the way. I mean, I sure as heck don't have everything figured out. And I've been doing this for a long time. So if you're struggling, find a tutor, an educator, an instructor who knows what they're doing in the field that you want to work in. You know, if it's the gospel chops field, if it's the rock field or the jazz field, it's a good idea to work towards what you want to do. Okay, so that's all I got. I just encourage all of you who are drummers, if you're struggling, it's okay. We've all been there, but just figure out what you like and be honest with yourself. And don't be afraid to be honest with yourself, okay? So